Ahead of them stretched a wide service aisle of white concrete, bordered as far as they could see by massive metal objects. Everything was color-coded. There were enormous red tanks and yellow towers. Thick clusters of white pipes traveled overhead, like precisely racked strands of spaghetti. A-shaped blue things marched off to the left to mingle with a community of purple octahedrons. Massive columns supported a 20-foot ceiling. The colors were all faded. Rust streaks and peeling corrosion blisters hinted of prolonged neglect. Leak puddles mirroring the red tanks confirmed poor maintenance. But the level was more brightly lit than Amy had ever seen. There was dust, but no filth or litter. There was no sign of rats or roaches or people. The two of them stood looking, listening to the muffled throb of pumps and overtone of fans. From far in the distance came a constant, high-frequency whine. "Where are we?" Amy whispered. "What is this place?" "It looks like level 1, sort of, only clean." "Is it machinery that runs the city?" "I guess so." "Nobody's here." Amy hesitated, then walked out into the aisle and peered down an avenue of tanks. Her shoes made no sound on the hard floor. "Nobody's here." "Looks like it, huh?" said Axel. "Let's find the freight shaft. It was to the right of the door we came in, so it should be near here." But it wasn't. Where Axel thought the shaft should be was nothing but a blank wall. They passed aisle after aisle of equipment before turning back to their starting point. "There's probably no freight door on this side because there's no one here," Amy said, trying to lessen his disappointment. "There has to be another way onto this level. We'll find it." "We could follow the arrows," he said. "I just hope we wouldn't have to walk so much." "Are your blisters hurting?" "Not yet, but I don't want them to. We have a long way to go." Yes, Amy thought, all the way back down. If we can ever get there now. And we've got no food and no IDs. And we're wearing white. If we don't find the freight shaft... She took a deep breath. It wouldn't pay to worry. Wouldn't change anything. They followed the arrow down the aisle between the red tanks, skirting the puddles, puzzling silently over what they saw. The directional arrow was repeated every 10th tank. 30 minutes passed and they were only halfway across the level. It was the first time in her life that Amy had ever been in so large an area devoid of other humans. She felt exposed and dwarfed by this place. She kept looking back over her shoulder to see if they were being followed, but no one was ever there. Slowly she began to relax. No people meant no danger. Axel broke the silence between them. "I was thinking, did you tell your mother you were going away?" "Not... no." It was the easiest way to answer. "Won't she be worried?" "No. Not unless I come back," Amy thought. "How do you know?" He sounded sad for her, and she resented that, yet liked it at the same time. "I just know." He frowned. "That's good, I guess, that she won't worry. I feel bad about my parents. I'll bet they were half crazy for a while. They probably think I'm dead by now." "Do you know your father?" Amy was surprised. "Sure. Don't you?" "I don't have one. Not a person I know," she added hurriedly, seeing him frown again. "See, Valerie had me just because it was a baby bonus year. All the girls who had babies got better jobs and got to move from dormitories to apartments. The authorities do that when people die off and they need new people to replace them. The next baby bonus will be 2 years from now. Anita said she was going to have one then. But she doesn't really want a baby, just a bonus. Like Valerie." "Nobody has babies any other time? Just when the authorities want them?" he asked. And when she nodded, "How do they do that? I mean, I know how people have babies, but..." "Drugs, I guess," Amy said blithely. "That's how the authorities do most things. Like when the people start getting really mad about the filth, or the food gets bad. The authorities drug the water to make everybody happy until the problem gets taken care of, or people forget about it." Axel shook his head in disgust. "I really hate this place." A directional arrow curved left, and they turned onto a side aisle. At aisle's end they could see a door, high as the ceiling and wide. But before reaching the door they came upon another sign. It was suspended from one of the support columns. Below it stood what looked like an ancient fire alarm post. Amy read aloud. "Danger. Warning. Danger. All drivers. Secondary defense system. Before proceeding, deactivate unwanted personnel defense unit. Pull lever A down. Wait for green light before proceeding. Failure to observe the order will trigger laser fire when exit opens. What does that mean? Axel read the sign again to himself and then out loud. I think it means if we don't pull that lever down, lasers will burn us if we try to open the door. Why would they do a thing like that? I don't know. She shivered, thinking of being burned. But let's pull the lever down. Lever A moved slowly, as if it had been a long time since it was used. When it reached the bottom of its slot, the panel behind the lever turned green, and more words became visible. This unit will rearm in 10 minutes. A rumbling sound made them turn. The big door was sliding open. On the other side was a wide ramp sloping up. It's a long way to that door. Let's run, Axel said and raced off. Amy followed, but favoring her blisters gave her a leg cramp and slowed her down to a limping jog. A green light glowed above the door. She kept her eyes fixed on that light, and tried not to think what she would do if Axel got inside and she did not. Or if Axel got inside and she arrived just in time to be hit by lasers. She saw Axel turn, look back at her and call, "Come on! I'm coming as fast as I can." To her surprise, the boy slowed down and stopped. "Why are you stopping? Run!" "Come on!" he called again, and circled back to meet her, caught her hand and tugged her after him. "Let go!" She tried to pull free. "You can make it!" Instead of answering, he speeded up and towed her after him. When they reached the open door, there was no sign of danger. They jumped across the glide track and were some distance up the ramp when they heard the door start to close. They stopped and turned to watch. Axel let go of her hand, and she stood rubbing the circulation back into her fingers as the big door eased shut. Then from both sides of the ramp and from the ceiling above the center of the door, panels opened. The light gleamed off anti-personnel lasers, 6 per side and 3 overhead, all aimed at the ramp entrance. "Do you think they really work?" Axel whispered. The whisper echoed in this empty enclosure. "I don't know," Amy was panting. "The only people they'd kill are the ones who open the door without reading the—" She remembered the first door, and her eyes met his as the sudden understanding came. "Signs," she concluded weakly. "They'd kill everybody from the lower levels. All levels are not the same. They don't want us to come up here." A great unreasoning anger took over her mind. In that moment, Amy wanted to go back down all those levels and kick every authority she had ever seen, smash every camera and terminal and view screen, and scream to people, "It's all lies! All lies!" Axel was shaking her shoulders and saying, "Stop it! Stop it!" She realized that she was making funny strangled sounds in her throat, and her breath was coming in short gasps. "Take a deep breath," she heard him say, and with effort she made her lungs obey. Again. Not until the third breath did she notice Axel looked very scared. "Why did I do that?" she asked him. "Why does it make me so mad?" "I don't know," he said. "It makes me more sad than mad. When I first got here, I just wanted to go to sleep and never wake up and have to live here again. You okay now? We should get away from here." She nodded, touched by his worry. "What did I do that scared you?" she wanted to know as they walked up the ramp. "Nothing, except you kept looking at the lasers and your eyes got bigger and bigger, and you got pale and started to shake and make funny sounds. I thought you were going crazy." "Probably was. My head aches now. That's why they don't want us to read." "Don't think about it now," Axel advised. "It'll make you mad again, and nobody thinks good when they're mad, okay?" "Okay," she said, but she didn't mean it. Like level 70, the ramp was empty. On the wall of the first curve they came to were the words Sub-Basement 2. The ramp curved up past a set of closed doors marked Sub-Basement 1. "What does that mean?" asked Amy, pointing to the words. "I don't know. It doesn't make sense up here," said Axel, and they gave the doors a wide berth in case they too were laser protected. As they continued on, Amy walked along in a muddle of confused thoughts, trying to understand what she was learning, without much success. Every now and then she would glance over at Axel. He walked up the slope with his hands clasped behind his back, shoulders leaning forward. Sometimes he would see her looking at him and almost smile. Maybe he would become her friend, she thought. She no longer hoped for a best friend, but just someone she liked who would continue to like her once he got to know her. Valerie always said it didn't pay to count on people, and mostly she was right, Amy thought. But there had been Janet, and Axel had come back to help her run. A patch of brightness on the floor ahead distracted her. It wasn't normal light, but came slanting down in dusty beams from some source hidden by the curving wall. She touched Axel's arm and pointed. "Is that laser light?" When he saw it, he stopped still and stared, and then, without a word, began to run toward the brightness. She watched in horror as he entered the lightened world, arms outstretched, a shining white dancer with red shoes. His face twisted as if in pain, and she expected to see him fall dead, but he did not. "It's the sun!" he cried out to her. "It's the sun! I thought I'd never see it again!" He whirled again and suddenly bent double and sank down on his knees, and as she ran to him she could hear him sobbing, "I want to go home! I want to go home!"